Welcome to Coily Crowns. I'm Ashante.
And I'm Lori, and welcome to our queendom. So, today we are going to review Judas and the Black Messiah that came out about 2 weeks ago now.
Yes.
Yes, so it stars Daniel, I don't know how to say this man's name. Kaluuya.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and then Lakeith Stanfield. So they start, and I don't know the lady because everybody's talking about her now. Dominique. Okay, I don't know. Let me not even.
I saw it, but y'all don't remember either.
But yeah, so it stars them, and I thought it was very interesting. You know me in these types of movies, got all in my feelings about this, and it was good learning experience. But just looking up the details after the movie, I was just like, why people got to be so evil? For
Oh,
what? I don't. He was just doing nothing but bringing people together and trying to help people in his community. And there was an
so
entire vendetta against him.
what did you know about the Black Panthers prior to this?
Really, all I knew was Angela Davis because I saw a documentary about her and how she was kind of affiliated with the Black Panthers, and then she was labeled a communist, and there was this whole socialist communist movement back in the day of how they were just basically labeling people to make it seem like they were anti-American, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know about Huey P. Newton, not really know about him, but just that he was the leader of this organization, and that, basically the Black Panthers was kind of like our militant group to help protect us against people that were already, badgering us and berating us just by living. So I didn't know really about the food programs in Chicago. I didn't realize how big it was across the United States, of all the different, what do they call those? Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna say satellite.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Satellite locations. So I didn't realize how widespread it was. And then I didn't realize how big Fred Hampton's legacy was, that it even stretched out of Chicago. Like, people really knew about him.
Had you heard of him before?
Yeah, I've heard of him, but not like growing up. I've heard of him in my later years when
Yeah.
he's been referenced by other people. But the fact that the federal government was looking at him as such this big catalyst against making an uprising against for Black people, then I didn't realize he was that known to want to have to take him out. So those are things that I knew before, and kind of what I learned in the movie. What about you?
So I had always heard of names associated with the Black Panthers, but I couldn't link them. So like Fred Hampton, I heard his name before, and I heard about the Black Panther that got killed in Chicago, but I didn't know it was the same person. Like that, couldn't connect the dots. So what I knew about the Black Panthers was like Oakland, where it kind of started out like Huey P. Newton, that name, Angela Bassett, not Angela Bassett, Angela Davis, excuse me. And what I remember hearing about a story, and forgive me if the facts are not accurate, but they were very protective, right? They had their own kind of like self-defense, the kids school program, feeding kids, the clinic health programs. But where the government started really eyeing them was they were supportive of the Second Amendment, right? To right to bear arms. And at the time, if I remember correctly, in California, Reagan was governor at the time. They would show up at the courthouse with the guns, and it was allowable at that time. But Black people with guns, white people got scared, and they ended up changing the law to where it became illegal to have firearms on, I think, state property, things like that. So I remember hearing that story about them. And of course, like you said, very pro-Black and trying to basically take care of our own and providing for our own so we don't have to rely on government assistance. But again, whenever it seems like history shows us when Black people, groups of Black people are being successful in doing something, it we become targets. We become targets. And
Yeah.
yeah, so to watch the movie and to see, like you're saying, how the government had really narrowed in on him in particular, I was like, wow. And to use a child, and that was the one of the things for me in watching this, it was a reminder of how young they were. So Fred was 21, I think, when he passed and he got killed. He got murdered. And
Assassinated.
assassinated, thank you. Probably the better.
Because he was a public figure and he was killed basically twice to me, because they gave him that sedative and I don't know if he was supposed to wake up off of that, whatever they gave him, and because he didn't even move according to the stories or whatever, and then they were just like, just in case, let me make sure.
Yeah. So I guess let's start from the beginning a little bit about the story and what happened. So opening scene of the movie, you see, which is kind of confusing because Lakeith is an older guy, but he's supposed to be playing this 17-year-old.
Is he? Is that
Yes,
how old he was? 17?
he was 17.
Oh, I couldn't find how old he was at that time. I just found how old Fred Hampton was. But okay.
Yeah, I read some other things afterwards. So there was this teenager, 17-year-old, who got caught for the stolen car. And he had been in trouble before. And it kind of seemed odd that, because he was impersonating an FBI agent. That's how the FBI got into it. He had like a fake badge that was saying he was an FBI agent and stole the car. And the FBI got involved and recruited him to infiltrate the Black Panthers to get information about what they were doing, things like that. So yes, they used a child, 17-year-old, to do this and get information.
So I also heard it was he crossed state lines or something like that, and the whole FBI impersonation thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking, they were just talking about like, how come you can't use actors that kind of really embody those characters in terms of age and looks and stuff like that? But then I also thought, then maybe nobody will see this movie. So it's a movie is meant to make money, and so sometimes you need that star power. People recognize Lakeith, people recognize Daniel from other movies. So if you find somebody that maybe is a lesser known actor, you might not get the views that you want. You know what I mean? So I get both angles to it. So
right.
But yeah, I didn't realize he was only 17.
But that's what I'm saying. Part of having older actors, and there's older actors who can play young people because they look young. He just don't look young at 17.
Nah, I wouldn't think so. I not watching the movie, I'd be like, well, Daniel doesn't look 21 either, but yeah. I don't know. They look close in age. Whatever age that is in the movie, they don't look like they're far off. So if we're talking about 17 and 21, they look around 3 or 4 years apart in the movie. So good enough.
Yeah, I got you. So he gets recruited to infiltrate the Black Panther Party there in Chicago, and he ended up becoming trustworthy for them and end up leading their like security team or something like that. And I think he was a part of it for 2 or 3 years, I want to say. I can't remember the timeline for sure, but that's how long he was involved, and going back and meeting with the FBI agent and giving him all the details of what was happening and everything.
And he almost got found out. So that when they went to the meeting with the green, whatever the name they made up for that gang.
The gang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the green hats or some green crowns. And so the guy recognized him like, wait, ain't that dude that was acting like you, FBI agent? Why would you be acting like that? And then the girl was just like, let me see where this man come from. I don't know how he was able to get out of that. that was just like, I guess
He used
they
his
took
skills
liberty
of
with
stealing
that.
cars. He was able to get that car, and that was enough for them to believe him.
I don't know.
Because I
The
figured
answers he was telling, I was just like, he looking more and more suspicious to
he
me.
was looking real suspicious.
But okay. So
And then yeah, that was one of the highlights too of the movie, to see from the history of Fred and what he did in Chicago. Plus, he was able to bring different groups, unite them
mhm.
over the same purpose, which was kind of like, the government is not going to save us. We need to do what we need to do to protect ourselves. So he was able to recruit or unite different gangs throughout the city, even a militia that joined, a Hispanic group. I can't think of the name. I've heard of it before, but they all were able to unite, and he was the central figure in order to get all of them to come together and unite like that. And
Yeah, that was
again, he was 21 years
21.
old when he got killed, got assassinated. So he was able to do a lot in a very short period of time. And
Yeah.
just to think, he really could have been one of our Martin Luther King, like what impact he could have continued to have.
Yeah.
Oh, why that face?
I
But
don't
I
think
mean,
it
like,
would have been. No, I think Martin Luther King was what white people liked to hold up, to say we're nonviolent and
well, I
will
mean,
protest.
name recognition wise, that Fred Hampton
Oh,
name
name.
recognition
Okay.
wise,
I was about
that's
to
what I
say, I don't
mean.
think Martin Luther King was in the special place, in the special bucket, that he can have that kind of kumbaya moment across people. Of course, after he died, right? I don't know
Right,
about a lot,
because he was still
but
correct when he was alive.
exactly. But Fred Hampton was more aggressive, and I could see rubbing people the wrong way, kind of like how Malcolm X was,
Mm-hmm.
like, rough and tumble. I'm not going to take this, but also I'm for my people. And also, I'm doing exactly what y'all doing. You protecting yourselves with guns, so are we. Same thing. But, it looks different when, Black people do it. So I did like the Rainbow Coalition part.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more connection with the overall organization. I thought that would have been interesting to see. Granted, it was a 2-hour movie, so it had a lot of information in there, but I think I know it's the stories about him, but it would have been interesting to see how the different organizations communicated with each other. If he communicated with Huey P. Newton, I know they mentioned him, but I didn't even know if they really knew each other or.
Yeah, I think so, because I think at the end they referenced it, and I read it later. He was about to become on the national, like the national board or the organization, have a role. So I think he knew all the main people at the top of the Black Panthers.
Okay. So, I mean, just little stuff like that would have been interesting to see, but I understand it was really his story during that time. So, but yeah, I thought that was good. My only notes after I saw the scene with, I don't know his name, but the one guy that went into the shop where the cops went in to basically shake down the business. And he went in there and was like, why are you harassing these people? And he went in there and just shot the cop.
Oh, Ralph, from New Edition.
Oh,
he played Ralph in New Edition, the movie. Yes. Sorry, I don't know his real name, but he played Ralph Tresvant. Yes.
No, that's not. No. I'm talking about in the store. So
Yeah.
Ralph was the one with the shootout with the cops at that tanker place because he went to go find.
Oh, you're talking about the dude from Moonlight. Okay, yeah.
Oh my God, is that what we're doing?
Listen, I bet somebody out there know exactly who I'm talking about. The middle high school
I saw Moonlight.
person of Moonlight. Yes, him.
Okay.
And he played the RZA in the Wu-Tang on
Didn't see that
Hulu.
either.
I saw that. That's what we're talking about. Okay, yes.
He's the black dude from Judas and the Black Messiah.
Ashton is his real name. I know that much.
Thank you.
Ashton is his real name.
So when he went up there and shot them cops, I was like, this ain't never gonna work. This is just World War III right up in here. It's not gonna work. It's no way these white folks gonna be like, sure, no problem. We're just gonna overlook that. Once that happened, I feel like everything that the organization could have stood for is gonna be gone.
Mm.
And I don't see how, if anybody who felt like either they were a cop, or they were married to a cop, or their mother was a cop, or they knew cops, they were going to be like, yeah, we don't have to do something about this. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So after that happened, I was like, oh no. This is why they were scared of us. We got guns and we just going to go around shooting cops. And then what happened later, after the dude, ended up dying in the hospital, I was just like, oh my God, this ain't never gonna end. I was just like, I could see why they were probably scared of the Black Panthers, because this was gonna shake up their whole livelihood. They were always in control. Cops have always been in control, white people in control. And now these people have licenses, guns, just parading the streets with guns, and then shooting cops, right or wrong. They don't care. They don't hear the whole story. All they heard is 2 cops died today.
Nobody got to pay for it. Yeah.
That's it.
Nah.
So after that scene, I was just like, oh man, this is gonna be terrible. Terrible.
And the next scene, right, or the next coming scene was the shootout at
Mm-hmm.
the at their little headquarters there in Chicago.
Which was crazy. I was just like, how they didn't know he was not in on it? He left that lady, went to the roof, and then disappeared. Didn't get arrested. Nobody heard from him, and he just showed back up later. And I was just like, nobody's gonna ask, where were you?
What
You were
happened?
right here. You were supposed to be shooting from the roof. How you didn't get arrested?
Well, I guess after he went to the roof, the other people that would have saw him going there, they got killed, right? The 2 guys that were like in the back. So I guess they probably thought, well, he must have was able to escape when they turned themselves in. I hope I'm remembering this movie right. I don't know.
No. You are. I didn't think that. I would think there would be a conversation like, what
What
happened to
happened?
you?
Okay.
And nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody just, they never even came back. Them two, the lady and the other dude, just
Yeah, they in
never.
jail.
I don't think
Yeah.
they came.
If they still alive.
It
Because
was other
again, they
people
probably
that
the
were
cops
cleaning
killed.
up. Yeah, it was Ralph Transvant. He's the one that came back
Oh,
and
yeah.
helped clean up before he had his full episode.
Good. Now you calling him round trap.
But Black people too, okay? This is now, that's all I know now. So, but yeah, I was just like, nobody's going, how did he not get caught here? So I was just like, okay. And then, so what about the whole concept of using these informants to infiltrate the organization? Because I watched a documentary about Malcolm X like this too, where it's your own people that they're putting in and saying, hey, we need you to spy on them because this is dangerous. And the reasoning why is dangerous. Hey, we know there's cops that's dangerous, but isn't this just as dangerous? These people don't care about anybody but themselves. They're just gonna, blah, blah, blah. And how does that, I don't know, how do you convince folks of that other than holding a crime over their head? Because I understand why he was just like, I'm not going to jail for 5 years, even though I'm a criminal. If this gonna keep me out of jail and then gonna give me money, okay. But they had like 9 informants in the Black Panther Party movement. How?
They had 9?
Yes, in that one, in Chicago.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that. Was that in the movie or that's something you read afterwards?
No, I had to look that up.
Okay. I know maybe they mentioned it. So yeah, like you said, with him, I can understand why. He was a kid and it was a way not to go to
Yeah, I
jail.
didn't know he was 17. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
that means he really just was lost.
So
yeah.
I can see why for him. The others, I don't know. I would think that again, they must have something hanging over them, like you can go to do this or you're going to go to jail. And I think when you have those options, most people are going to think in their own best interests, and do that regardless. And then, at that time, and even now, shoot, you already don't fear the police and the FBI and see what they can do. I think you just really are just trying to save yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to this other thing where I guess that Eyes on the Prize thing, you said you watched it, but he said in that interview that he thought of the FBI agent as his mentor. He looked up to him, he brought him in, he had dinner with him and his family. He felt like he was kind of like his son. Like it was no longer a professional relationship,
Mm.
um or like a fear relationship, even though he did threaten him to like put him back in jail and all that kind of stuff. But that was kind of like how a father would threaten you. Like, if you do this, you're going to get in trouble.
And that
So,
probably speaks to, again, being young. They never mentioned no parents or anything. So he could have been on the streets and not have nobody. And here's that one person who is, like you
looking
said,
out for
treating
him.
you, bring you to family and all
Yeah.
of that, that you build trust. And for you, it's not even trying to save your behind now. It's just, I'm doing this for somebody I like and care for.
Yeah.
You know,
That's crazy.
that was the other part with just talking about the informants. The one informant that they had who came from another organization, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
used him to travel to the different branches of the Black Panthers. And when he was there, because he was a wanted person, they were able to use that to get warrants to go in and basically destroy the offices. And it's like, dang. So they knew he had killed somebody, and that's why there's a warrant. So he had killed somebody, he was a murderer, and they knew they were using him to say, go to these different organizations. And once he was there, they get a tip. They get a tip that he was there, get their warrant, and go and just like smash up the whole place.
Mm.
Wow. Not too surprising, but thing, wow.
I guess I'm surprised on how much of a vendetta the US government had against Black organizations. And I'm just like, how do you move past something like that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you just say, well, okay, we free now? Just like after slavery, go about your business, do what you want to do. But then you have people basically stalking and spying on every movement that you make and basically putting hit jobs on you in order to kill something that you're doing for your own people. I just don't, I'm just
Control.
baffled that we still have Hoover on a building where they basically did internal espionage in their own country. I think that's crazy that we still hold him in high esteem, that he's one
Just
of
like most of the
the
people, right? I mean, that's one of the
I
awakenings that
know.
we've had in the last year with all the different statutes, right? Of usually related to like people who were former presidents or whatever, and they had slaves and what they stood for. But I I don't know. I think that's just part of American culture. That is just how it has been and how it will be. I honestly, I think there's been little change as we've always seen. It's always little changes that's happening, but we have
Mhm.
not had, I think, a paradigm shift of anything just yet.
I agree. So what about the reasoning why Fred Hampton went to jail the first time? Or well, I guess that was the only time he was going to be sent back to jail. But
They
the
said
ice
that he
cream,
stole, yeah. I think there was some trumped up charges or something. They got somebody to lie, maybe. I don't know the honest truth of what happened, but I
mhm,
believe that they probably found a way to charge him that probably wasn't true.
yeah. And so while he's in there, the organization still continues to grow strong. And that's probably why Hoover was like, we can't just put him in jail. It doesn't matter to put him in jail. His organization's still going. We have to kill him. It's not good enough just to let
He
him
has to
sit
be
there,
neutralized.
neutralized. So they are using this now, 17, 18-year-old, I had no idea. And, using other informants to get him to incapacitate him so that they can go in and basically kill the whole cell, the leadership cell. And I mean, that whole scene,
I'm surprised only 2 people died. All those bullets that they were shooting into that building, only 2 people died.
It was just, I mean, there was like, they made it like you were there. There was no music. It was real still. It was slow. It was just like, it felt like that's how it happened, even though you never really know fully because it's going to be different accounts. But it's just like, how can you even be a cop and be like this? And I guess that's how you train people. You know what I mean? Back then, that's how you train people for war. You don't care if there's kids in there. You don't care if somebody's pregnant in there. You don't care
It's them
who's in
or
that building.
you. That's usually how it is. It's them or it's you.
Just going, this is a threat. So just go in there guns blazing and make sure that target, even if other people are still moving, that target is done. And I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, is she gonna get shot? And she had this big old belly. I was just, please don't shoot this lady.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's just amazing that only those 2 people got shot, which they did show this accurately in the movie, and I read that the Black Panthers never shot not one bullet. All the shots that happened were all from the police.
No, I think they did shoot. They shot one.
Well, okay, let me clarify.
They didn't shoot anybody.
He didn't shoot anybody. It shot after the police shot him. It was like a trigger reaction from after he got shot. So it was just that one bullet that was like went to the ceiling. But he never put
and that might have been made up. You never really know, because they might have been like, this is where we shot, because we heard a shot.
No, I think that's what they said. They really did say that. But the evidence went back and it showed that it was a reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just like, oh my God, this is just so sad, just to see like what they had to go through day to day, not just from cops, I mean from the FBI and from everyday life, because there's a reason why the organization was there, because it was already bad enough. Like, kids were starving. That's one of the bases of what they were doing. So it's just like, I mean, why?
It's amazing how groups like that can be seen as terrorist groups, but yet we have these other groups that they don't even want to acknowledge and call them what they are.
What they did, they called it what they were when it was beneficial to them. And that's what I was saying. That was one of the tactics that FBI agent used with, I don't know what his name was, O'Neill, because he was like, you don't like the Klan, right? It's the same thing. This is the same. They're doing the same thing. We got to make sure that we break it down. We don't want to do that and blah, blah, blah. Like, so you know what it is, but your friends are in the Klan. Your cousin, your uncle are in the Klan. So you don't see a threat there because it's not a threat against you. But you see our organization as a threat because you feel like it's a threat against you. You know what I mean? So now it's like you have no understanding. You don't know, your cousin ain't in it. So you don't have no understanding and no grace and mercy towards something like that. So I don't know. I was just like, I cannot deal with this. I was done. At the end, I was like, oh, can I watch something funny now? It's too much.
Yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot, but I think it was a story that needed to be told, and I think it helps us to know, especially say our people our age who may not have been taught or knew a lot about the Black Panthers and things like that, our history. And I think sometimes there is this narrative that our people have always been so kind of complacent with things, and like we didn't fight back and we didn't do this and that. And I think this gives another narrative to that, another side to that story, that no, there were groups of Black people who did fight back during slavery time. There are groups of people who did try to stand up for their rights and do things like that. We haven't always just, followed and went the way of the world at the time, things like that. So I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was very good. I know you probably don't plan on watching it again, do you? Yeah, Lori's one of those one and done people. Like, I don't need to see it ever again.
No, I watch my same movies over and over again. None of them are heavy movies. Absolutely not. I'd be like, oh, I would probably watch stuff like that again, like once my daughter grows up. Like, this is something good to watch. But me from my no. But wait, I want to talk about the ending and the recap of O'Neill and what happened to him.
Oh.
So I guess they ended the movie with kind of that eyes on the prize interview, and basically he was so matter of fact speaking about, yeah, I did it, you don't understand, I was in on the struggle, you don't get it, what had to happen, blah blah blah. And then what was it, 3 days later he killed himself. And I was just like, I wonder if he really went through life thinking this was something that had to happen. It kind of made me feel bad or feel like it was wrong, but I'm also feeling like I'm doing something right. It's like he was in a rock and a hard place where he was trying to do something. He's working for the government. This has got to be something that's good. And like the government doesn't do something illegal, right? And and he wasn't really a part of the Black Panther. He came in with the notion of spying on them, so he
Right.
never really transitioned over to being a part of the group. He was always an outsider, but inside the group, right? But I'm wondering, when he did that interview, did he feel like that was the first time he actually told the story out loud? And when you tell a story out loud, sometimes in your head you can rationalize something, but when you're talking to somebody else and they're asking you questions and you're picking up on the inferences, I wonder if he realized how bad the story was and he couldn't live with it. Because at the time when he was talking about it, it was just like he didn't even wrestle with it. It just seemed like, yeah, I did it, and but you didn't understand what it was and blah 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 and da da da. But I wonder if he really thought like, shoot, do I understand what happened? Do I get it? Because I'm sure the questions were like, what did you do today? It was more like, so you didn't see that maybe they were using you. You didn't see that maybe what you did was incorrect or whatever. And he denied that he poisoned him.
Right. I would say, yes, I did hear that.
But still, you were a part of everything. You drew a map. What did you think was going to happen that day?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if he felt it after the interview, because it was so weird that it was right at that time that he would commit suicide, and not like right after it happened or a year later after it happened or 3 years later. It was way later.
Yeah, that's a good question, because just so viewers know, if you go watch the movie and do your research and read up on what happened. One of the stories I did read about him, after all this happened, he had to go into the witness protection program. So he had to change his identity and all that. So maybe part of that, he had what happened hidden, like he had it, he departmentized it. I still probably say that right. But and then doing the interview, it all came released. And like you said, now, and he's an adult, he's kind of thinking about, dang, what did I do? I did all this, and that ended up leading to the death of this man who was, like I said, at the end was really just trying to do good. And maybe that did have an impact on him, and yeah, that caused him to commit suicide. And maybe he already had planned on doing it, and there was this way of just saying,
This was
I'm
his
gonna get the record straight.
my last will and testament. Let me just let it go. And then that's, what do they call it? Deathbed confession. Let me just let everything go, because I'm over this life. And that means all of this was for nothing. You killed somebody, or you set them up to be killed, and then your life is gone too. The 5 years that you were trying to save not to go to jail, you still end up having a short life because you didn't live. There's no way. Like you
Because he was still, I think, like 40 something, I think, when he committed suicide.
but if he went into witness protection, like you didn't live your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? You lived the life according to somebody else. And then you had to go into hiding because of it. So you didn't live life.
Again, you have to remember now, as we know,
I
he was a
know.
child.
I
There was
know.
nobody to help him even try to rationalize the thinking of why
I'm
to
just
do that, why
surprised
not
that
to.
he didn't fall for the movement. I'm surprised he didn't even warn him. I'm surprised. I get not getting out because you just feel like I'm not meant for jail. Nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody wants, even if you're a criminal, you don't want to go to jail. I'm just surprised there was nothing that was said, no closeness, no relationship build that you got from being that close to somebody. Because he was like up there. He was like man number 5. He wasn't
Yeah,
like down in the totem pole. You've been
right.
there,
He worked his way up.
so you got ins and outs. You had, one-on-one conversations with somebody. So I'm just surprised that nothing. I mean, we don't know the whole story, but it just seemed like, his allegiance was more on the FBI side than anything else.
His
But
people. Yeah. All right. So out of 5 crowns, how many crowns would you give this movie?
I actually really liked it. I felt like I learned, I had emotions. I felt like I was there. So out of most movies that I watch, it was probably it was constructed well. It was entertaining to say. It wasn't like sleepy or slow or whatever. It had a build to it. So I would say 4 out of 5 crowns is what I would give it.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm not watching it again. What about you?
Um, I would give it 5 rounds. I think overall, I think that from the acting, I think the acting
Yeah.
was great.
Mhm.
Just everything, the writing, the storytelling that it provided, I thought it was good. It definitely had me like sitting there for the full 2 some hours just
Yeah.
watching it. So I thought it was really good. I would watch it again. No time soon, but yeah, I definitely would. I think it was really good.
I
And
want to get a shirt that says "I am a revolutionary." I'm like, big. I am. I was saying all that. A revolutionary. I am. I was trying to find some old speeches to see if I could watch him, but I didn't see that one. So I'll keep looking. But yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay.
go watch it. If you haven't seen it, it is a good watch. No matter what your skin tone is. I think it's good because it's all history. It's American history of what actually happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check it out. Tell us how many crowns would you give it down in the comment section, and we will respond.
Yes, yes. So if you haven't subscribed to our page yet, please be sure to subscribe to the Coily Crowns. Um, like, share our videos. Go back and watch some of the previous ones. We release videos every Saturday, every Wednesday and Saturday. So until next week, we want to remind you to do what?
Protect your throne. Bye.
Bye.